Was there a criminal who you felt fell in love with you?
As I think it's a legitimate question because if you just think about human nature, men who are in prison and locked up for long periods of time and they don't see their family or their loved ones, it, I'm sure they do become fixated on females that work in the prison. And of course, then, my job is to be alongside them and to help understand. And when you've got somebody who you feel sees you for who you are and isn't judging you, I would think I would fall in love with somebody who was like there.
Isn't
And
this a thing in the world of therapists? They call it something where you're not supposed to fall in love with your patient
yeah,
and
no,
vice
you're not
versa.
supposed to. Well, I mean, the thing is, you can't help who you fall in love with. What you can help is what you do about it. So, yeah,
Oof.
yeah.
Oof.
So, therapeutically, you have a code of conduct that you agree to abide by. So, if you behave inappropriately, you get struck off if you get found out. Yeah.
But there are therapists who fall in love
Oh, I'm
and
sure there are. And certainly, I mean, in terms of human nature, there have been offenders I've been found much easier to work with, have enjoyed spending time with. Whether or not I've fallen in love with any of them, I think no, but certainly some I felt very fond of. And when that's the case, you really have to put your boundaries in place if you want to carry on practicing. Otherwise, you're in big trouble.
how did that criminal tell you that he's in love with you?
Oh, they just tell you, send you letters, and declare undying love. That's happened.
Declare undying love.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Dr. Joe, I love you. Once I get out of prison, we should get married.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's
that kind of
literally
thing.
what it
Yeah, yeah.
was.
And sometimes it's a bit more thorny than that.
Like what?
Um, if I should tell you the story, it's so funny. So I've been in the prison, I don't know, 2 or 3 years. So I got a bit savvy. I was a bit wiser. And I remember walking through a wing one day, and this when I say young, he's about 22. I was about 27. Um, came running up to me as a prisoner that I'd worked with, and he said, Joe, I've got a letter for you. And he shoved this bit of paper in my hand. Really shouldn't be telling this story. And he said, "Don't let anyone see it." But I happened to be walking through the wing with the principal officer, and we got out of the prison. And I said, "Let's have a look at what he said." And he said, "Joe, I love you. I want to dot dot dot." I'm not going to tell you exactly what he said, but it was very graphic. And me and this principal officer just stood there laughing our heads off. It was really very inappropriate. And of course, because it was inappropriate, I couldn't let it go if I hadn't responded. So I had to, in the colloquial term, you say I had to nick him. I had to put in a complaint, and it had to go to an adjudication, and I had to write what had happened, which I did, but I was not going to read out the note in an adjudication, so I just had to say, and the prisoner so and so gave me this letter, the contents of which I attach, because I wasn't going to read out what he said he wanted to do. Um, but yeah, so sometimes it's a bit more basic. It's where I want to do this to you, and other times it's very poetic. I've got some very poetic letters. The really important thing about that is that you talk to your boss, you let people, the security department, know that this is happening, because they need to keep an eye on you for your own safety, and they need to keep an eye on the offender as
Did
well.
you meet him after that?
I didn't work with him again, but yeah, I saw him on the wing.
So what energy did he give you?
He was fine. He understood.
Oh,
The prisoners know the rules. I think if I hadn't done anything, he may have thought that there was something there. Do you see what I mean? If you don't put that boundary in place really clearly, it would have been misleading for him, and that would have
hmm.
not have been fair.
Hmm.
So, but this is, working in prisons is incredibly complex, and working with people who are incarcerated, it's a total institution. Relationships do have to build up, not intimate sexual relationships, but relationships have to be formed. And if you don't state and maintain your boundaries, it can be a really risky place to work.